Well, welcome everyone to another series of Life Lifters from Lakeshore Community Church, where you can hopefully get a daily dose of encouragement in just about 5 minutes. Now, we are full swing into the Christmas season, and that's really what this week is going to focus on. But throughout the Christmas story that we find in the Bible, there's one theme that always jumps out at me that I want to share with you this week, and it's the idea of the humility of Christmas, the humility of Christmas. We're going to look at 5 key parts of the Christmas story, and there's many more, but we're just going to focus on 5 this week that really show how God showed up in every single one of these and the humility that was expressed through it, whether that be the person or the place or God, whatever that looks like. So today is all about Bethlehem. And we're looking at from the minor prophet Micah, and he is warning all of God's people about the coming judgment. And then in chapter 5, he starts specifically talking about the fact that Jerusalem is under siege from Babylon and talking about its king through that. In verse 2, then he shifts to this idea of a coming king, a ruler who was going to come. And in Micah 5:2, it says this, "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over all Israel, whose origins are from old, from the ancient times." So this is, of course, a prophecy. This is a message from God of something that he wanted them to know, of the coming king. Interestingly enough, this verse was written about, give or take, 700 years prior to Jesus even being born. So this was something that the Jews grew up over time knowing. They knew this prophecy. But what Micah does here is interesting too. He personifies the city of Bethlehem, just as he did in chapter 4. He personifies the city, saying, "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah." Ephratah is just more of it's an ancient way to say that, to say Bethlehem. It could have also been considered a region that Bethlehem was part of, but it was just an older way to say that. Though you are small among the clans of Judah, though you are small among the clans of Judah. One of the other translations in the Message says that it was the runt of the litter. I think it's a good paraphrase of that. It's tiny. It's nothing really significant. He says, out of this insignificant city, will come for me the one who is the ruler over all of Israel, whose origins are from old, from the ancient times. Now we know from the context and the verses after that he's talking about the coming of Jesus Christ here. That Jesus Christ will be born in Bethlehem as it was foretold. The city of David is also called. And then he says the origins are from old, from ancient times. Another translation could say it was everlasting. So let me just paraphrase this verse. But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, the run of the litter, nothing really special. Out of you is going to come the ruler of all, the King of kings out of everywhere, who was told long before and is older than you and I and has no beginning and has no end. That he's always been alive, talking about Jesus. So Bethlehem, what's so special about Bethlehem? Absolutely nothing. This doesn't sound like the birthplace of a king. Well, not by our standards, but you got to remember, those standards really don't matter to God. Our standards of fame, wealth, popularity, your city's sports team, sorry, God really doesn't care about how great your sports team is of that city, although some would argue otherwise. But God really doesn't care about that. God doesn't see success and fame the same way that we see them. We see Bethlehem as something insignificant, but God saw it differently. In fact, the Apostle Paul writes in Corinthians 1:27, this is what he says. He says, "For God chose foolish things of the world to shame the wise, and chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." He flips it on its head. You see, Jesus was foretold hundreds of years prior to his birth, but not just his birth, but his birthplace as well. Bethlehem was nothing special, yet it was foretold. But what made Bethlehem special and significant and made it great was who was going to show up there. Because Jesus was born in Bethlehem didn't diminish the work that Jesus was going to do. But the same goes for each of us. You may consider yourself nothing special, nothing significant, but what makes you special and significant is the one who does a great work in you.